Jeniffer Matthews thought that she was embarking on the journey of a lifetime when an opportunity arose for her to work in Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates. She just after 4 months rallied friends to help her buy a ticket back home. Here's why.
I did not like what I'm doing, and I felt like it was somehow against my rights because I couldn't speak up for myself. But then the one reason is also because if I stayed longer into 6 months, say for instance I decide I want to leave after 6 months, and then I can't, because that means I'm automatically in the 2-year contract. So I'll stay there for 2 years. Doesn't matter if I'm not happy or I'm happy. I got this job from a mentor of mine, and then he was actually a friend of the general manager, so he was finding me anything just to start off. And he was assured that I would only be working for a while in their department just for me to see and for them to see that I can do another department that I want to do. So he sent me the contract of housekeeping attendant. And then I waited after 3 months for everything else to come through. But then they sent me the MOL, the Minister of, I'm not sure, but then it's the contract they have that you should have to sign and thumbprint and all that. And that one stated that I will be an archives clerk. I asked why it is that it says archives clerk if you gave me a job as a housekeeping attendant. They didn't give me an answer, they just said it's just policy. I did find out later, on a later stage, that they don't actually give visas to those that are doing housekeeping. So it's as if you're going to do something else that is above. I worked from 7 to 7, sometimes even more, which means, because my contract says you work 8 hours, and then if you work more hours, you'll be compensated for it. But then I waited because I didn't want to get involved. I wanted to see how it will actually go. And then I worked my first month. They paid me half, even though I worked from 7 and I only knocked off and I got home at 8. I was working 8 hours at the Hilton Capital Grand, Abu Dhabi. And my contract says I work 8 hours, and if you go over the 8 hours, that will be compensated for. I didn't do anything about it. I waited until the month was finished and I saw how the salary came. But then my salary in their country was about 1,000, which is in Namibia about 3,500 or so. But when it came, I actually just got about 800 and something in their currency, which is in Namibian dollars. I'm not really sure how much, but I think it's about 2,000 something. And I used to clean almost 30 rooms per day. 1 day off, 1 day off in a week. And sometimes they could just decide, because the hotel is too busy, they will cancel your off day. And you'd be working 2 weeks, 7 to 7, which was really bad.
I asked Jenny to explain the conditions that she worked under and why she didn't reach out to the relevant authorities.
The Middle East, or Abu Dhabi, as I got to know it, it doesn't really protect the rights of someone like me from Africa. You don't really have a voice there. What are you going to say? Who are you going to talk to? And if I do say something that is out of line that someone feels offended about, they can report me and I can get arrested. So you couldn't really do anything. We did try, like some of the African kids that were also working there with me from Cameroon and other places, we decided we'll go and talk to the head of department about the hours and if we can at least get 2 weeks off, 2 days off in a week. He just started throwing threats, because that's when I actually told him already that I'm thinking of going back home because of the conditions here. And then that's when he started throwing threats of, if you go home at 5 o'clock, where you're supposed to go home in 8 hours, if you go home and you're not still working because the work is not done but your 8 hours are over, I'll replace you with casual workers. And if it's me, if I'm the one being told that and I'm in another country so far, what do I do if he replaces me? If I'm staying under his accommodation, I'm eating where I work, how am I going to survive?
I also asked Jenny to tell us what her experience as a black woman in Abu Dhabi was like.
Black people have no rights in Abu Dhabi. When I got there, I spoke to a lot of people because before I left, I was doing a lot of research about the country and stuff. But then they were saying it's very safe and all that. Then when I got there, I also spoke to the black people that are there. They all told me there are different stories. One of their colleagues was diagnosed with HIV, and that is a very big thing when it comes to UAE. If you are diagnosed with HIV, it's like you are going to, I don't know, it's like you're going to infect people by looking at them or anything like that. The stigma is very bad. So when they diagnosed that colleague with HIV, they arrested him, they put him in jail for 3 months, and then they deported him back to his country. You can be arrested for crossing the road. Say for instance, if you are crossing the road where there is no pedestrian crossing or anything like that, you can get arrested for that. And also if you are wearing something that they find offensive, they will arrest you. Or you take a picture and then by mistake someone is in the background, you get arrested for it, and the fines are very high. And being in a country like that with such it's a much higher currency than ours. In some other countries, which is even worse from other countries, like for instance Uganda, their currency is very bad, and if they're in Abu Dhabi and they are being charged, it's going to be a lot.
Many young people leave their homes in search of greener pastures. I asked Jenny whether she would recommend this experience to anyone else.
No. They did ask me these questions when I left, because they said I should fill in a survey to see how I was, and they said it was going to be confidential. So I answered. I was honest that I'm not going to recommend this to anyone else if it was for my country. And they asked me why. I gave them my reasons. I put them on paper like they said. And when I handed in the paper, they started questioning me why it is that I answered this.
Her experience, whilst harrowing, had some highlights. I asked her to share the most negative and the most positive parts of her experience.
The worst thing about my job is when I went to work, when we started cleaning the rooms, one of the 2 rooms from the 30 rooms that we clean, someone actually messed in the shower. So, and the thing is also, I didn't really feel like they cared when I asked for gloves and things like that. They felt irritated because most of them, they don't use gloves. But then I just thought it's important that I do, because I might get sick or just contact anything. So this was very bad because I had to clean up this mess in the shower. And you finished one room, you think you're done with it, you go to the next, and then the next thing happened. One of the most positive one was, I liked the fact that it was Hilton, because this could be a very great boost on my CV. And the second is, I love the fact that I actually had someone that I knew there, but that person was in Dubai, had quite a good position and was helping me quite a lot if I need help with some stuff. But he's not originally from the Middle East, so he couldn't also really get involved with whatever was happening because he was not part of the company I worked for. The third one was just to see the different cultures. It's very interesting to see. Even if it scares you because it's very different, it's quite interesting to see how they are so, how do I say it? They are so used to their culture and they just go with it. When they dress, they just dress like that.